racism within. The racial disparities that many people of color experience in the United States, in employment, housing, healthcare, education and more, have long been thought to be the result of racism in economy and society. According to the Center for Assessment and Policy Development, racial equity is the condition that would be achieved if one's racial identity no longer predicted, in a statistical sense, how one feels. This definition has been used by organizations such as the Kirwan Institute at Ohio State University to measure and compare economic conditions of white Americans and other groups of color. Racism in economy in developing countries. Racism exists throughout developing countries, although it is usually subtle. In many places, racism is so common that it is accepted as part of everyday life. People are divided based on ethnicity and race, and those divisions contribute to problems such as poverty and inequality. According to a 2016 report from CERD, people of African descent experience discrimination at every stage of life in some areas. Access to education and employment is limited, for example. These examples show how racism affects everyone around you, including yourself. Racism in economy in developed countries. Racism in the economy, according to the United Nations, is the unequal distribution of resources and opportunities between different racial groups, which leads to the accumulation of wealth and power by one group over the other. Racism, as defined by the UN, is the prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism directed against someone of a different race based on the belief that one's own race is superior. Racism is a global phenomenon, but it is especially prevalent in developed countries and has been a major issue in the United States for decades. Racism in the economy is a form of structural discrimination that can affect people of color in a number of ways. First, structural racism can lead to the denial of access to resources, such as jobs and education, that are needed to improve one's life. Second, structural racism can lead to the perpetuation of poverty. Third, structural racism can lead to systemic disadvantage, which means that the influence of racism can be seen in the social, political, and economic policies of the country. Labor market discrimination. As in any other business, the labor market is not diverse. This means that there are not many opportunities for people from different ethnicity. This is a problem that people of color face in the labor market. A study on a company in the Netherlands found that the company had a high rate of people of color in managerial positions, but this was only because of a lack of opportunities for other people of color. People of color in the United States are also subjected to discrimination in the labor market. They are often given lower wages and have to put in more time to get the same position. Cost of racism. Racism has had a significant effect on the economy in the United States. A study conducted by the University of Connecticut found that if people of color were taken out of the workforce, the U.S. economy would shrink by $2.8 trillion by 2065. The study also found that the U.S. economy would lose 6.4 million jobs if people of color were taken out of the workforce. Every day, people of color are discriminated against in the economy. They are told they are not the same as their white counterparts and they are not worthy of equal treatment. This is a big problem that affects the entire world. It is a problem that will take hard work, time, and a lot of effort to fix. But if you really want to make a difference, you have to start with yourself. There are a lot of places you can start. You could start with your own workplace. You could start in your personal relationships. You could start by taking action. Racism and economy. Investment on Black people. The racial inequality in the economy is one of the most pressing problems that people of color face. It's also one of the most difficult to address because it is so deeply rooted in our society. There are many reasons for this, but one of the main ones is that it is difficult for people of color to invest in the economy because of the discrimination they face. This is a huge problem that affects people of color in the United States, but it is not isolated to the United States. Racism is a global problem, and it is reflected in the economy around the world. In order to fix this problem, it is important to start with public policy. We need to create policies that will help people of color in the United States and around the world to invest in the economy and make more money. These policies should be passed by the government and implemented in the United States and around the world. Investment on women. Women are one of the biggest global assets. They are like seeds which can be sown, grown, and when they get mature they can feed the world. Sadly, this investment is curtailed at its early stage with the advent of prenatal sex defloration. It is estimated that some 200 million girls are missing in Asia because of it. One may ask, why do we try to grow male seeds instead? Women usually take upon themselves the social life and economy of societies, Thus if well nourished and treated, they will bear good fruits. Racist democracy. Racist democracy is a system of government in which the majority of citizens are white, and the minority are not. It is a system in which the majority of the population will vote for policies that are beneficial to them while the minority will be discriminated against. It is a system of government which is based on self-interest, and not on the interest of the people.